Right,
করে
another
দিচ্ছি।
fine day. We're about to start discussing the final of another ICC tournament. Sagar, it feels like nothing.
Because there will
How
be
do
another
how do we
ICC
have like
tournament in
one
less than
ICC
a year.
tournament every 8 months? How is this a thing all of a sudden?
How is this a thing?
Asia Cup
And
feels more special, if I'm being honest.
I mean, at least every year some teams are going to the final, right? Random teams. But one team, with the exception of one team, which never makes it to the semi or final except that Champions Trophy. So I don't know when what to say, but hey, every year ICC tournaments happening, it's diluting the essence of the tournament.
Mhm. Especially when the schedule of a tournament is fabricated to serve one team and then everyone else kind of gets thrown into the deep end. Uh, I think it's good, honestly, that a lot of players are speaking up. People are saying, oh, a lot of your income till now has been through the IPL. Some people are referencing to how India was given only 4 tickets to the 83 World Cup final or something. People are referencing a lot of things. My thing is, if you want to refer to the past and you just want to put what, like a revenge of the past, and you want to take revenge of the past, if that's what the BCCI is doing, or if that's what the BCCI's motto is, that, oh, I want revenge for what happened to me in 1983, then you're no better than who you're calling colonizers, or the guys who you are saying that you're better than them. If you are better than them, then why are you trying to do exactly what they were doing, right? Then it doesn't differentiate you in any way. And yeah, I mean, you just look at the South African players, you could tell these guys are tired. Uh, you look at the New Zealand players, honestly, the way New Zealand started batting in that semifinal, people talk about they started slow and everything like that. Honestly, if you've been just flying in and out of airports and countries and you've been doing red eye, like, I am glad it was a 20 over game for them, because if it was a 50 20 over, it was a 50 over game. If it was a 20 over game, they probably wouldn't even have scored as many runs as they scored in a 50 over game. Like, if you take it relative to what the score could have been maybe in a T20, they probably wouldn't have, because half of that first phase they probably spent just getting like their heads in place to kind of start getting adjusted to the game and like the situation of it all. So it's unfortunate that cricket is where it is at right now. But I guess that's why we also have something to talk about from time to time.
It gets worse when certain individuals refuse to acknowledge that this has been a clear advantage. They
Mm-hmm.
don't even mention it. And
Yeah.
it's the seeding. Like a lot of players still bring up how you still get. There have been instances like this. South Africa getting all their matches in Centurion. This was back in 2009 Champions Trophy. They still didn't qualify for the semifinals. I think they lost all three or something. They had a
Yeah.
terrible, uncharacteristically terrible tournament.
Mm-hmm.
But aside from all these other factors, you have the fact that India have consistently been seeded whenever
Mm-hmm.
they've played away from home. This is absurd. No team gets seeded when they're playing away from home. And this
Yeah.
whole thing, because revenue is important. India is getting the money. But you're telling me India need their match in Guyana at 10 a.m. Otherwise, viewers are not going to watch their game. They need all their games in Dubai. Otherwise, viewers are not going to watch their game.
And the
I'm sorry.
and the
What is that?
final has, if India, and the final has to be on a Sunday. All of
All
India's
of
games
India's
have
games
to
have to
be
be on a
on
Sunday
a Sunday. India is the only team that gets a 6 day break in the middle of a 2.5 week tournament.
when they're not even traveling.
When they're not even traveling. So I think, honestly, power to Mohammad Shami. He probably got a lot of shit after going back to the hotel from the press conference from everyone around him. which might even see him get dropped for the final. I don't know. He might get dropped, he might not, but it might happen. But honestly, I'm just glad he said it because Gambhir's never gonna say it. We know how he is as an individual. Rohit Sharma's never gonna say it. No one else from the Indian team is gonna say it. So I'm just glad at least one person in that squad has accepted that it is what it is, that this is actually a problem that exists. And I'm sorry, like, I'm tired of seeing India Pakistan get placed in the same group for the game of the century. That happens every year now.
Every year with the
Like,
same result.
and every year with the same result. It's such a one-sided game. It's not even like there's
It's
no
not even funny
excitement to
anymore.
it. Exactly. It's not even funny
Oh,
anymore. It's
and these
just stupid.
broadcasters, they hype up this match as if it's the first game and as if it's the last. When
Yeah.
it's not, when
All
it's
on the
not either
line.
of those things.
All on the line. Like, nothing's on the line. We know what the hell's gonna happen to this game. Everyone knows. What's on the
And
line?
nothing's on the line.
Nothing is on the line.
Bangladesh gives India a better challenge, and Bangladesh are in their worst form right now. What are we even talking about?
Absurd. And there's no way. Like, honestly, I've not seen a sport basically cater to one crowd or one team so much ever in my life. People talk about LeBron and the NBA, or people talk about maybe the MLB and its New York teams and things like that, or you take NFL, Patriots and Chiefs and all of that you can take into account, but none of that compares to the situation that is in world cricket right now. And I'm sorry, honestly, this directly impacts how the associate game gets affected. This directly impacts, basically, they never want a 2007 to happen again. That's the real truth. Because if India, God forbid, gets eliminated in the first stage of the tournament, oh my God, all hell will break loose. The tournament's not gonna make any money apparently, and everything else in between. That is why India also gets to play the last group game of the tournament always, so that they know what they need in case they fumble a game here or there during the group stage. So yeah, a lot of things that go into it.
I love how people turn this into an insecurity thing for us. Look, India are a
Hmm.
great side. No one here is sitting and saying that India are a bad side, that India wouldn't qualify without the disadvantages. That's the point. That's the whole point. India can qualify under any circumstance. But you make
Hmm.
those circumstances cater to India. There are going to be questions. There are inevitably going to be questions. Indian fans used to troll Rohit saying that he lost a rigged World Cup when he lost the 2023 World Cup. You
Hmm.
tell me, how many teams have faced that accusation before?
Yeah.
India have lost a World Cup final before. Other teams have lost World Cup finals before. No
Yeah.
one faced this sort of accusations because it's true. It's what's happening. And I don't think India
Hmm.
realize that they're actually playing with fire here. The whole argument that
Hmm.
okay, we can pull the plug on cricket, it goes both ways. Other nations,
Yeah.
most other nations can still survive without cricket. And even though it
Exactly.
brings a lion's share of the sporting revenue for a lot of countries,
Yeah.
outside of India, they can still survive. They can still sustain, especially Australia, South Africa, somewhat, England,
Yeah.
more than enough. These
Yeah.
countries can definitely still make it. Bangladesh might struggle, Pakistan might struggle. That's a different conversation. Those countries are struggling for different reasons anyway. But
Hmm.
India, do they realize the kind of impact it's going to have on India?
Yeah. No, I mean, the whole country literally runs on one sport, right? Like the whole what I don't even know the word right now, but the whole mindset that if India chose, I said this yesterday, make two leagues in world cricket. India can play amongst their India A, B, C, D, and under 19, and that will protect all the revenue from India that you want. And then make another league for all these other teams, and they can just play within each other, and that's it. Because
But
India is
that's the
so
point.
good.
India know that this will never work. Indian fans, as much as they claim to be, religious followers of cricket, they really aren't.
Aren't
If you
exactly.
look at the
Yeah,
domestic tournaments, Syed
yeah,
Mushtaq Ali Trophy, great tournament. Are you telling me
yeah,
Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy can generate even 2% of the revenue that IPL can for you?
yeah.
So if you
Mm-mm.
pull the plug from cricket, these foreign players, they're going to eventually boycott IPL. Only a
Yeah,
few of them are going to remain who desperately need that money, and most of them are going to go away within a few years, maybe.
look
What
look at
happens
what
then?
James
IPL
Vince said.
becomes the Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy. What do
Yeah,
you do then?
exactly. Look at what James Vince said. Honestly, I think James Vince put it really well. He said that it doesn't make sense that the ECB has decided that players will not get any NOC issued during the English domestic season, except for the IPL. He's like, why are you making exception for one league? It should be the same for everyone. Are you saying that the players who get to go to the IPL from the English domestic structure are all of a sudden better than everyone else, so they should be able to go, although everyone's playing the same competition? But then if I get selected for the PSL or Hales gets selected for the CPL and MLC, they can't go because, oh no, you're not better than everyone else or something. So now you're seeing guys retire from the domestic game to take up all these deals. And, you know, like what, maybe 6, 7, 8 years ago, people were talking about their fear of cricket becoming club culture, cricket becoming, kind of like that Premier League structure or whatever. Well, it's pretty much that now because guys are seeing multi-year deals with their franchise teams and they're not signing domestic contracts because it essentially restricts them in what they can do. Right? So I'm sorry, but it's like Lalit Modi said. He didn't want to create a monster, but he created a monster, and by the time he wanted to take back the control of the monster, it was too late.
But you missed one point when you say that foreign
Mm-hmm.
players not coming to India, will affect India more because of what you mentioned at last. Players signing deals with the franchise. Let's say Knight Rider franchise. They have four or five different teams in different countries' leagues, right? Let's say SA20, CPL, ILT20, whatever, and that particular player has deals in most of them. So
Mm-hmm.
if they don't go to India or India doesn't like that player, he won't be allowed to play in any of the teams. As a result, he will be losing out on all the money. He only has to play, let's say, New Zealand has no franchise tournament. So, like, only they can survive. And other teams like SA20, like South Africa SA20 or
Mm-hmm.
England 100, now we know the majority of the stakeholders, some of them are Indians, like same as the IPL owners. What I'm trying to say is most of the IPL owners are also getting their shares or investment in the other franchise teams.
Yeah,
As a result, this might complicate matters.
and that's kind of what happened when BCCI had that whole issue with Shreyas Iyer and Ishan Kishan, right? Because Ishan Kishan and Shreyas Iyer wanted to train with their IPL team's academy, and BCCI basically said, "Oh no, you can't do that. You gotta go and play domestic cricket or whatever, or you're not performing." And then they went through that whole situation of falling out of favor, getting kicked out from their contracts and everything. Who's to say that's not going to happen if someone comes to one of these Indian players that's out of the national structure but still pretty big and says you get 6 years of deals in all my franchises across the world. Forget about the IPL. He gets $2 million a year. Is he not going to take it? Is he not going to think about taking it? I'm saying if this guy knows he's not making it back to Indian setup, he's taking it. Kartik's gone. Look at Rayudu. These guys are gone. They said, "Oh, screw it, bro. I'm done."
But then again, there's only so much privatization that you can do
Yeah.
from a business point of view. If it stops driving revenue, I mean, how many Indian fans, let's forget every other fan, how many Indian fans are out there watching SAT20? How many Indian fans are watching the ILT20? How
Mm-hmm.
many Indian fans are currently watching the CPL? It's not
Bro,
many.
no,
So
no one even
if you
pulls
if
up
you're
to the ground at ILT20.
the reason I'm bringing up India here is because again, yeah,
Yeah,
ILT20 again. Who I don't know who that's supposed to
I
cater
don't
for.
know.
Actually, I do know. I don't want to mention it on air. But let's not go there. But again, the whole point is the reason I'm bringing up Indians is because you think that Indians drive the sport. Indians don't drive those franchise leagues. So when
Yeah.
these businessmen, be it from India, be it from the UAE, be it from other wealthy countries
Hmm.
outside of the hosting nations, start
Hmm.
investing and they don't get those results, it's not going to be a 5 6 year contract anymore. It's going to be a 2 year
Hmm.
contract, at most three, and they're going to
Yeah,
realize, okay,
that's
this is
true.
not sustainable. We're going to have to pull the plug eventually
Yeah.
from this as well
Yeah.
because they're businessmen. It's not like they don't have the money to sustain that league. They do if the revenue doesn't come, if the right sources of the revenue don't come, I should say, uh, they're not going to bother. They're going to
Actually, that's
pull
a
away.
really
They're
good
going to go
point.
elsewhere.
That's a really good point, and I want to tie that into the sale of the 100 franchises
49%.
because 49%. But did you see like the values are so different between each franchise and each city? It's almost like no one knows what the actual value is, and they have just gone on an agreement that it might be worth this much over a 4 or 5 year period. Which I mean, it seems like honestly, if you think about where cricket was at what the turn of 2010, 2012, in that area, cricket was healthy. Like I feel like cricket 2011 World Cup, 16 teams. Some teams ran it close, associates ran it close with some full members. Ireland beating England, Canada ran Pakistan close. So many other games that were like,
Netherlands ran England close, I think.
Netherlands ran England close. So like all of that's pretty much gone out because you'll set up like I know this conversation can be endless, but like the whole fixing of schedule and fixing of itinerary and the groupings, India, Pakistan, same group, and then put two weak teams, associates in there and ruin their whole freaking World Cup because of your own benefit. And you're only taking like so many associates in the first place. And two of them, you just ruin their World Cup by putting them in like this. Whereas it should be essentially one associate per group, right? Like, makes no sense.
Shagor, we spoke lightly about England and the problem they're going to have with the 100. Let's talk about England in this campaign. It's one thing to go through
Mm,
a rebuilding phase. A lot of teams don't take the Champions Trophy as seriously, and if anything, it actually allows them to have this sort of medium between the two World Cups, so that they can go through this growing pain. They can go through a rebuilding phase. All of that is fine. But with England, it felt like they didn't actually have any plans whatsoever. It was just they were throwing everything they had onto the wall and hoping that it just stuck. It didn't stick. So making this lopsided playing 11 where Joe Root has to come and bowl at the death. How ridiculous is that?
England, I don't know. Bringing Brandon McCullum 2 months before the Champions Trophy, 2 or 3 months, I don't know, and they were
now,
expecting what a miracle or what. And when
now
the England
they're
squad
talking about Stokes as captain again.
scores, yeah. So when the squad was announced, I was a bit skeptical about you know what this team balance is like. You see raw pace only, mostly like Wood, Atkinson, who's the other guy?
Archer,
Wood, yeah,
Archer, Atkinson.
Wood, Archer, Atkinson. And apart from Rashid, Adil Rashid, there's not much to look at in terms of experienced bowlers. Archer's coming from an injury. Wood is always injured. Atkinson not experienced enough. So yeah, they were always going to struggle. But the way that they struggled, like even after scoring 350, 360, and then the batting failures, Josh Butler's own failures, it was overall, as you like put it, like a calamity. Like it's something, it reminds me of kind of the 2015 England team, like the World Cup that they
Mm,
had. Like it was also like that. They lost to Bangladesh. They seemed out of sorts in most of the matches. Same here, even though it's a shorter tournament than
So
that.
Moin Ali was opening the batting at that time.
Yeah, and
At least that playing 11 made sense. This
playing
playing
11 was
11 is
better.
hard to make sense out of.
But yeah,
Yeah.
and even the players' strategies, right? They lost 2 wickets. Batter comes in, tries reverse sweep or scoop or something else. It's crazy. Even like,
Why play Jamie Smith in every game? That was such a bizarre move
and
to
at
play Jamie
number
Smith in every
three,
game at
and at
3.
number three, like what?
yeah, Jamie Smith,
I
I don't
rate
know,
Jamie Smith
whoever,
very highly. It's
yeah,
just I don't think he was ready for this tournament all of a sudden to be the number 3.
See,
whoever's performing good in Test cricket, they just drag him
they
by
just
the
keep him,
collar and tell them, okay,
right?
you come to ODI squad, T20 squad. I mean,
Absolutely. Did something
it's
happen? Like
same.
did Phil Salt feel
Yeah,
uncomfortable keeping? What was the main reason? I mean that's the only justification I can find. Otherwise they could have easily played Banton. They got Banton I think last minute
yeah,
sort of
they
as a
had
Yeah, no,
replacement
Banton.
for Bethel.
they got him early. They got him like a week into the before the tournament even started. They got him in the setup. Um,
I mean that is technically last minute because Bethel was
oh, that
supposed
is
to play, right?
yeah, yeah. Bethel was supposed like yeah. I guess in that context, yes, it is last minute.
And Banton has played a few seasons of the PSL, if I'm not mistaken. So he has more experience in Pakistan. Why not play him at 3? It's absurd. Or you can even
It's
play him,
just
slot him down at 4, allow Root to bat at 3. I don't know what the plan was.
Yeah. So every game they had to bowl, I think, Root and Livingston and get 10 overs out of them, right?
Absolutely,
mhm.
yeah.
That was crazy. And on pitches like Lahore.
Livingston at one point was bowling death overs.
Mm.
And he was doing
And
better
getting
than the rest,
smashed.
funnily enough. Others were getting smashed even more. He
I
was
think
doing better than the
Livingston
rest.
Livingston balled the 50th over and he conceded only 3 runs, I think. That
Yeah,
was the
yeah.
only good takeaway.
Even
Crazy.
what's his name? For Australia, even Labuschagne
Yeah,
had to bowl at the death.
yeah, Labushin.
Labuschagne. We're
One,
going to come to Australia, but
yeah, England.
again, England. We're finishing up. Shagor, any last things you want to say about England and where they should go from here?
I think Joe Root was good, to be honest. Like, he was playing
hmm
sensibly. He was close to his best, even though the pitch is favored batsman. But he took control of the situation. He played really well. But if he had some support from the other batters, like Butler, for example, like if they could stitch some partnerships, big ones, maybe England had a chance. But then
Yeah.
again, the bowling was too thin, of experience or any metal. So very sad to see. The individually the players are good, but maybe not in the ODI format. Maybe in separate formats they're good individually, like T20I Test.
Yeah.
But ODI the team is not there. They're not working as a team.
They need a whole revamp of the system, right? Like without having like a whole cleanup process, get rid of a lot of these guys who are obviously not fit for ODI cricket because they're looking to play almost like 2 or 3 T10s in a game. Like you can stick with Brook, you can stick with Root and Duckett. Those three you can probably keep. And then honestly, like Butler, I don't know like how long do you keep him, how long do you not keep him? But honestly, the rest of it just gotta go. And I think one of their biggest loss was Bryden Curtis because he's been bowling really well since his return to international cricket, and that injury kind of put a dent on their bowling attack a little. Uh, but
Was it really the injury? He had a bad game though in the first game, and then he got
yeah,
dropped.
he had a bad
Because
game,
of
but I
injury
think
as well, like that was
yeah,
partly
Oh,
due
right.
to
exactly.
injury as well. Like he was bowling
Yeah,
through the pain. I mean, he was not his best, of course, but still he could not
he was like
give his
pushing
best.
through it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, so it wasn't him at his best, and yeah, it's just they're really hyped about Jamie Overton and what he can do. Which I mean, yeah, that's fine, but the whole balance of the team is then not really there because you're pushing Overton maybe a number too high, and that means you're really starting with the bowlers straight away at 8. It's like that combination is not there. Like if Overton has to play I think he has to bowl more than 4 overs a game. Like he has to be bowling 6, 7, like at least first change, because if he's not, then it doesn't make sense to play him at 7, and he's mainly supposed to be a batting all rounder, but it just doesn't fly.
I'll actually say that Vaughn's idea isn't all that bad, and I kind of echo his sentiment. Bring back Sam Curran, make him captain, bat him at 7. He feels a lot of those roles right there and then.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
even if it's temporary, it doesn't have to be permanent. Even if it's
yeah.
temporary, try it out.
I mean, if they're gonna get a temporary captain, hashtag throwback Tim Payne, uh, James Vince, honestly, because I know he hasn't made the most of his opportunity, but James Vince and Sam Hain are easily two of the best 50 over batters in England. And Sam Hain, I think he scored like 82 or something on his debut game for England, and then never played for England again till like last 2 years. Absurd, like like Shagor said, this whole mindset of bring all the test players and just put them in the squad. Whereas you could have probably played Sam Hain at 3 or Sam Hain at 4, Root at 3, and you would have probably had a really good middle order for the Champions Trophy. But
Other ways, I think we're going to move on to the other team who had, I would say, they had a worse tournament than we would have predicted. We didn't see them as final candidates for sure, but Pakistan could have definitely done better than this. The injury to Sam Ayub a few months ago dented their chances or dented their whole squad confidence and whatever, however you look at it. But still, you still have the likes of Imamul Haq, you have Fakhar Zaman. You can't prepare any of them on time. Fakhar Zaman gets injured in the first game, and everything just falls apart.
yeah, it's just Pakistan, especially their bowling is not there. That pace attack is not there. Like it's not posing any threat to the opposition, I think. And especially if your pacers are going for so many runs and they're getting hit on both sides of the wicket, it doesn't really make a lot of sense because that means you're not making use of the new ball. A good indication of making use of the new ball is being able to see the wagon wheel of the openers or like the first 3 4 batters and seeing where have they scored most of their runs. If they've scored most of their runs on one side of the wicket, that means you've had a really good start to the game. But I think against Pakistan, all the games, batters are scoring runs on both sides of the wicket, and they're even getting, their cheeky shots out and stuff like that. Which, yeah, it's just I think Shaheen's dropped a lot of pace. Haris Rauf, Naseem Shah, everyone just mixture of not there. It's just not gelling well. I think as a group.
And the team selection, like squad selection, also maybe like Abrar was the only frontline spinner, and I don't know, maybe another spinner could have helped.
Mm-hmm.
The weird inclusion of Khushdil Shah and how it didn't turn out to be all that bad of a decision.
Yeah, it's funny, right? Like the guy who was probably being ridiculed the most for his selection turned out to be probably one of the better selections in the tournament. But I think how long do you carry Kushdale or how long is he a part of your plans? We've just seen Pakistan release an ODI squad uh, for series against New Zealand. Usman Khan got dropped. I think some of the other guys might have gotten dropped. South Shakil got dropped for sure. So I think Kamran Ghulam is also dropped. So yeah, it's just
Most of the
Babar
guys you
Azam
mentioned, other than South Shakil, didn't even get a proper go and
go
just got dropped.
exactly. Yeah, so it's just Babar Azam and all these guys are dropped
I think
from
Shaheen got dropped
T20.
too, no?
Yeah, Shaheen got dropped. Yes, Babar Azam got dropped from T20. Shaheen's playing T20. Haris Raf also dropped.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I think they're gonna go through this phase of trying to figure out a combination that works. And I mean, end of the day, I think all of it kind of boils down to when you let individuals become bigger than the team. This is what happens. Um, I think Bangladesh cricket has seen that. Um, Now, Sri Lanka cricket has also seen that, I think, in the past 5 6 years. Once they had their problems, kind of finding a settled 11. Um, Pakistan, I think, going right, they're probably right in the thick of it right now. Um, because, yeah, it's just none of the individuals who are supposed to be carrying the burden of the team are really doing it. And yeah, it's just like I said, India Pakistan contest isn't even a contest anymore. It just looks like under 15 boys playing against men most of the time.
And it's very funny because, well, when you look at all these stupid talk shows that Pakistan tend to have with all their senior players, you can see where the actual problem is. Everyone loves to
Yeah,
jump on the
yeah,
bandwagon and blame Babar because blaming
yeah.
Babar gets you footage. And
Because
I'm not saying Babar is
it's
not
a
to be
cool thing
blamed,
to
but you
do.
look at
Yeah.
that India game. You tell
Hmm.
me that they lost because of Babar. How
Hmm.
much sense does that even make?
No, I think that India game, I woke up and I just turned on the TV. Uh, I think it was like what? It was probably right right around Seri time, no? The game was yeah. So or actually I think Ramadan might not have started at that point, but in any case,
Before Fajr,
turn,
basically.
it was like around Fajr time, yeah. So I woke up, turn it on, Rizwan gone, someone else gone, back to back overs maybe. And I was like, oh, this game's done. Like, absurd little shot from Rizwan to get out. And then another, like, really soft dismissal. And by the time I finished playing Fajr, they'd lost like 3 wickets from when I started. It's like, this game's done already.
Yeah, there was this phase in the middle where Rizwan was sort of capitulating, but sort of holding the innings together, anchoring or whatever, and then he gets out playing such a ridiculous shot against Akshar Patel, who is a
Yeah.
very canny bowler. He has that defensive line and length where you can't really attack him like that. Again, it shows that there was no real plan. He was just blocking for the sake of blocking. He wasn't really anchoring
Yeah.
per se.
Yeah.
India were happy to let
And
him
he was
stay in the
just
middle.
fidgety on 49 trying to get that extra single to get to 50. And that's what happens when you're thinking about milestones. You're done, man. You're done. Like, it's straight up like, if you're not thinking team and you're thinking milestones, the game will catch up to you, like today, tomorrow, whatever it is.
Shagor, so it's safe to say that Pakistan have huge problems at hand, and they're going to need massive overhaul to get everything fixed.
Yeah, I just saw the tweet from Gillespie that the new head coach Akib Javed was saying that we have so many coach changes. We need to be stable with our coaches and stuff. Be consistent. And then Gillespie was saying what a clown he is, that he conspired to get rid of him and Kirsten, but
Yeah,
now he's
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about
Now,
stability.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, but I think if Pakistan, like seeing Pakistan's T20 international squad, like for New Zealand series, at least I think it's a good start, given that they're trying to give the people performing in the domestic circuit chances,
Yeah.
which previously was lacking, I would say, similar to Bangladesh. But now I see some new guys coming into the T20 squad and some veterans getting dropped from the ODI squad, which takes a lot of courage in the subcontinent to do. Big names getting dropped like Babar and Shaheen, ex-captains, very recent captains. So hopefully it's a good start by Akib Javed. But yeah, let's see. This is very saddening to see the state of cricket Pakistan's offering, given the history, right? That's what we talk about all the time. That's why the media hypes up the India Pakistan games, likes of Wasim Akram, you know, Wakar Yunus, Saeed Anwar. So the legacy is not, they're not getting to continue the legacy anymore. But hopefully, this is a good new start for Pakistan. And as we talked about previously about Bangladesh, hopefully something has to give, and hopefully changes will be made. And as you can see, I'm telling the word hopefully a lot of times, because is we can just hope, we can't do nothing else. The facts are there, everything is in front of the management, but if they decide to look the other way, then we can do nothing but hope.
I think South Africa cricket is the biggest example of taking. I've said this before in our other episodes or podcasts. Is they took a really tough decision of walking away from guys like ABD and Faf
Tough.
at different stages, right? And they were ridiculed about it. They were, Herschel Gibbs was on Twitter every day, probably tweeting 4 times a day, telling them how they've made the stupidest decision in their life. They probably also started maybe coming off that idea of Dale Steyn at one point, Morne Morkel and everything. And in other countries, these guys might have continued playing for a long time, but South Africa realized very early, even Quinton de Kock, I think, they kind of started, shifting away from him. And South Africa identified really early that if they didn't take these decisions, they would have lost the team, right? A lot of guys would have lost belief in the system. A lot of guys would have lost belief in the structure that's there. And once you lose the team, that's it. I think guys need to believe in the process and in the system that there is. Look at someone like Rassi. He didn't even make his debut until well into his 30s, I think. And he's played last 6 years pretty much unscathed, and he's only playing once format now for South Africa, but he's played all three formats in a career that at one point for him probably seemed like he might never play international cricket, right? Ryan Rickleton, I still find it funny that 2 years ago, one of the coaches in South African system said he's not ready for international cricket. And when I saw that, I was like, how is Ryan Rickleton not ready for international cricket? I have seen this guy play cricket. Like when he was playing Division One cricket in England, in club level, he got an Essex contract. And to me, that like he wasn't even playing Prem. He was playing Division One, and he got an Essex contract. Like I was like, bro, how are you telling me this guy's not ready? And look at what Ryan Rickleton's done. Look at what Corbin Bosch has done in a very short period of time. So you have to go through it. You have to take the chance. Now, what Sagar said, it boils down to everyone can talk about it, everyone can promote it, everyone can propose all these solutions. But if the people that are in charge, the geniuses, don't have right logic behind it, you can't do anything. You're just gonna end up in the same loop over and over again. Pakistan used to make fun of the guy Mohammad Wasim or something. Mohammad Wasim, he was the chief selector, right? The guy who would come up with the laptop. Everyone would be like, "Oh, why are you coming up with the laptop? Why do you need a whole presentation for the squad you selected?" That was your golden era in modern generation. That guy was picking squad on literally merit, data, and who gets to get selected. That's why you beat India in freaking Dubai by 10 wickets, because he had a process. Now you have no process. So it's not gonna work. Like if your whole cricket board or your selection committee is just run by emotions or who likes who, it's not gonna work.
Best part about South African cricket is their one mantra is if someone wants to go, we will let them go.
Yeah,
We won't hold them back, and we won't let them back. A big part
yeah,
of it is we won't let them back. That's
yeah,
the key word. I mean, the only cricketer I can really think of that they let back was probably Simon Harmer.
yeah. Simon Harmer, exactly. Yeah, and they were struggling in Test cricket for a good spinner, right? Because
Absolutely.
Keshav Maharaj
And even
still
then, he was
hadn't.
the second spinner to Keshav
Yeah,
Maharaj.
yeah. So he didn't really have a backup to him, and he was the only guy. But now Dane Peters pretty much made that his spot, I think, in the last couple of series, which is funny because he was in US for. I was like, what?
Again, Riley Russo, Dane Pete, Simon Harmer could possibly come across as names that they did let back into the squad, but not AB de Villiers, not Fab du Plessis.
Also,
And here's
one
the
more,
reason.
Duan Olivier.
Duan Olivier.
Mm.
That's a good
Yeah.
example. Duan Olivier
Yeah,
back into the left side. Yeah. So again, I think the reason is these cricketers, even if they don't perform as well, they're easier to
Mm-hmm.
replace. I think that's the main goal. That once you
Mm-hmm.
let go of AB de Villiers, that's when you get an Henrik Klassen.
Mm-hmm.
Someone might think, okay, that's not exactly a like for like. It is exactly how they got Klassen.
Mm-hmm.
It is
Yeah.
exactly how they made Rasi the batter he is today. Rasi was a
Yeah.
good batter. Rasi got into the
Yeah.
squad even when Faf was captaining. But the Rasi we see today, the accomplished Rasi that we see in ODI cricket, looking at his numbers as a number three, we would have never had that Rasi had Faf continued playing. And we also know that had Faf continued playing, as good as a batter he is, he would have not averaged 40 or above, versus Rasi averaging 55, 60 in during that
Mm-hmm.
same period. So you're getting
Yeah.
more out of Rasi than you get out of Faf. And Faf isn't exactly dispensable. So you let him stay or you let him back, there's going to be another political issue of when you try
Yeah.
to drop him. With QDK, it's similar. Like QDK, they realized a while ago that despite QDK still having a good 4 or 5 years left in him, he doesn't want to play actively for South African cricket. So be it. Let him play till as long as he wants to, and we have Rickleton to replace him. Had they
Yeah.
continued playing Deacock, we would have heard the same thing again and again that Rickleton isn't ready for international cricket.
Exactly.
For someone to be
Because
ready,
you have to
especially when they're coming
justify
from South
picking this
Africa,
guy. You have to
yeah,
justify picking Decock, right? Like day in, day out, right?
for someone from South Africa to be ready, they need that level of exposure. South African
Mm.
cricket, I'm sorry, with due respect, South African cricket isn't like Bangladesh cricket where you pick someone and then you realize, oh no, they're not ready. South African cricket is more about everyone in the domestic structure, more or less, is ready. You just have to
Yeah.
give them the right exposure and the right amount of
Yeah.
time for them to be ready for the bigger tournaments. It's never about the small series.
the
South Africa
prime
have come to a
example of
point where they
that,
don't care.
is the tour of New Zealand, the Test series. They took a completely different team, led by someone who didn't even make his debut, Neil Rand, and they actually were kind of competitive. It's not
Yeah.
like they lost in
Almost won
day
the
two,
second
day
test.
three.
They
They
almost won
almost
the
won
second game.
again. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this shows the domestic scene how strong it is
Yeah.
compared
No.
to, as you mentioned, Bangladesh. I'm pretty sure if Bangladesh sent a B team, I mean, we already are a B team in the international scene. But if we sent our Bangladesh B team,
Bangladesh
then
be
we would be, lose the game in
decimated.
day two or
Absolutely. Like
day three.
if Netherlands get their status anytime in the next couple of years, and we send a second string team to face that Netherlands team, we're gonna lose.
Not
Yeah.
second string. I'm serious. Netherlands versus Bangladesh Test match. Netherlands has a good chance of winning. Even Ireland. You know why? Because those players have been playing competitive 4-day cricket in England, like Van
Mm.
Meekeren and those kind of
Yeah.
players. They
Yeah.
are playing good cricket.
Some are even going to South Africa to play for
Yeah,
competitive
so
4-day cricket.
I'm pretty sure it will be very competitive.
I agree. I fully agree.
Like I said, tier two, if it happens, there is two teams, three teams ready. Nepal, Scotland, Netherlands. They just need to like if they give it, that's it. I'm telling you, if Bangladesh catch the L, it can happen. It might happen.
No, but on the other hand, I actually see this as a positive. See, Bangladesh are
Yeah.
going to play Zimbabwe for a two-match test series, I think, this April. Ashes,
Consolation
as we like to call it, Ashes
at
2.0.
the Ashes.
So,
Ashes
so
2.0.
what happens is if we do start to lose, or if they do start to compete against us, that's when it finally gives our selectors, our board, the right kick that they need. Because these guys, I'm sorry, they always need the right kick in the right
Yeah,
place,
yeah.
which I'm not going to name.
Mm.
They need that kick up their backside
Yeah.
to actually start making changes and to actually start saying, okay, no, we have to take Test cricket seriously. If we're playing against India and we lose against India the way we did last year, people are going to
They'll just
complain
say,
and they're
oh,
going to forget
yeah,
the next day.
yeah,
Okay, it's
yeah.
India. Come on, you can lose. You play
Mm.
against Australia, they don't play against us anyway. We are going to face them in 2027. We lose, so be it. We lost.
Yeah,
No big
yeah,
deal. We're playing that. That itself is a big deal. We win one test in New Zealand, one after so many tours, and that's still celebrated to this day. How are we going to make improvements out of this? If anything, play against the smaller nations, let them beat us, let them compete with us. That's when we realize, okay, no, something is wrong. Something
Yeah,
fundamentally needs to be changed. And
yeah.
maybe then we start seeing results. So maybe that could be a blessing, massive blessing in
Or
disguise
else
for
till then,
Bangladesh.
these guys are gonna use, oh, we beat West Indies at home in a T20 series.
But how are we gonna get? How are we gonna lose against Zimbabwe? They're gonna create the same, you know, used tracks
Patket.
and spin
No, no,
minefields.
Yeah,
Zimbabwe currently won't beat us because Zimbabwe don't have that same competitive spirit either,
yeah,
which Netherlands might have, which
yeah.
Nepal very likely could have.
Like you put Aryan Dutt, Tim Pringle, and the Rail of Vander Merwe on a Patket.
We're doomed.
And
Dheeraj
then the
Medas
Aryan
guy,
Kolkata, for God's
I
sake.
Aryan Dutt bowls at 95 kilometers per hour. Imagine him bowling that, which is 10 Ks quicker than all Bangladeshi spinners on average, and he's gonna bowl that on freaking
dust balls.
ragging turners and dust bowls. They're not even gonna get their bat to it. Like,
Just
I'm
never,
being
never let
genuine.
yourself forget the fact that they beat us in Bengal. Just beat the other side of Bengal, but Bengal nonetheless.
That's true. That's
In
true.
in what in what which format?
ODI,
ODI,
Oh,
Kolkata.
okay.
T20, 2023 World Cup.
I
Yeah,
thought multi-day game. That would be interesting.
there was a time
Anyways, what's the
we used
next
to compete
team?
with Dhoni, Sehwag, and Dravid. I don't think we really competed with that team. We had one good test against that team, but I don't think we really competed. One or two, and I want to say two good tests against that team, but we never really competed as much.
The one good test, which was one where Shakib took five and then Shadat took five. That was one. What was the other one?
There was one in 2007, I believe. India
In
declared
Ramesh
in
early to give
Dhaka.
Pawar's.
themselves a chance to win, and Bangladesh actually
Oh,
started doing really well. Javed Omar was batting
And
on
then they
52.
blocked out the test match when
They
they could
blocked
have
out the test
probably
match, and
gone for
rain
that.
came in. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Freaking absurd, absurd. I remember
no, but
watching
the
that. I
rain would
was
have
like,
made it a draw anyway. So that I
yeah,
can
but
ignore. The
bro
problem
never
here is
even
Bangladesh
tried.
will make slow and low wickets. In fact, I think sporting wickets give us a better chance if you look at our current pacers and the fact that Blessing Muzarambani and in Garava can be a threat. But still, I think I would rate Taskin, Hassan Mahmood, Shoriful maybe all of their form better than Nahid Rana, of course, all of their form
Yeah,
better
yeah.
than the Zimbabwe
No,
lot.
but
So yeah,
Hassan Junaid Ahmed Khan, bhai, for Bangladesh, beating Zimbabwe is the World Cup because they're not gonna beat anyone else. So the only team you can beat, if you beat them, you're happy, right? You're going in the right direction. You're not losing to the only team that you're beating. They're not gonna beat anyone else. Like that's reality. So might as well beat the only team you can beat.
coming back to South Africa now, Shagor, one thing that we did discuss is Temba Bavuma could become a problem. And that's because Temba
Mm.
Bavuma's bilateral form doesn't always translate well into ICC tournaments. It turned out to be a problem. He scored a very slow half century, which can easily be blamed because if you think about it, like I do personally think that David Miller could have 100% done better. But the way I mathematically look at it, David Miller needed nine more deliveries to win that game. Nine. That is not a big
Mm.
number. That is
Yeah,
1.5 overs.
yeah,
Nine more deliveries, and that game could have turned. So David Miller
yeah.
could have charged nine deliveries prior to when he did, or someone else could have played nine fewer deliveries somewhere down there. And that name seems to be Babuma.
It's very tricky. It's like if someone like Babuma is performing in bilaterals, how do you not pick that guy in the ICC tournament? So
Plus, he's
it's
captain.
as captain as well, and also due to certain other criteria. So he ticks all the boxes in that sense. He's a good fielder as well. So I understand what you're saying, but it's very difficult for the selectors to not pick him in the side. I mean, I know there are players waiting. Even who was that guy? Britsky. He scored a
Britsky,
century.
Matthew Britsky, yeah.
150 on debut.
Yeah, on debut, high score on debut, but it's not like he was showed in the squad as a reserve or anything. So there are talent out there in the South African side, but your question is very complex to leave out such a person. I mean, just thinking straight. I know that he's not performing in ICC tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
There's other pressure on him to perform. He's, slow and he's eating up a lot of balls, but it is what it is, man. Fardin Kibriya, anything on this?
Bro, the thing is, like I said, I think Temba Bavuma is the best captain for South Africa because he is one guy that brings the group together. And one of the most important things for a captain is a group that believes in you. And for Bavuma, the way he has transformed South African cricket in the last couple of years, guys believe in him because of that impact that he's brought. Like he has started little cultures in the dressing room. They would posted videos of it throughout the tournament. I thought it was impressive, like because it appreciates each other, right? A very big part of team culture or team bonding is appreciating each other. Now, Rakimo's right, and you Shagar is right that uh, like his numbers are not translating from bilaterals to ICC tournaments, and I think if it comes to an ICC tournament, you kind of need the coaching staff to take the load off Bavuma and tell him to go and play like he would in a bilateral and not think about the result. Because as soon as South Africa get past the hurdle of the group stage, the demons kick in. It's the choker tag. It's the, oh, is this gonna be the one that we make it? They've made two finals in a row for two ICC trophies, but this is one that they could have easily went to the final for. But it's that mindset, that pressure again came back to them. It just bit them, and I think Bavuma just took it on him, and he just went into a shell while playing that innings, where all the other guys were actually scoring at a good rate from the start. But like Rakimo said, realistically, for Miller, it's only nine good balls that, or nine other balls that if he had might have changed the game. I think,
Miller gets going, you don't even need balls in his arc. Everything is in
yeah,
his arc.
everything. Yeah, like I, I agree. He probably could have started going a little early, but he tried going. They were bowling a lot of change ups and stuff like that, and he just kept losing guys from the other side. I think at one point it was like, we're not really gonna make it.
I've even heard people say that this is sort of a curse for some of the crimes
Yes. South Africa
associated with
women,
South African cricket. Uh,
South
I don't know
African
what to say about
women's
that.
team won a World Cup, right?
No, they made it
They
to two
just
back-to-back finals and lost.
Final,
who
final.
who just won the World Cup?
Which
Wo-
World
South
Cup?
Women's. Which one
Uh,
was it? T
T20, women's
20.
T20, New Zealand. New Zealand
Oh,
won it.
New Zealand won it,
South
right?
Africa
New Zealand.
It
lost
was a New Zealand-South
in the
Yeah,
Africa
yeah,
final.
final.
yeah. Right, right. Sorry, South Africa
Women's
beat
T20 or
Australia.
women's under 19 T20 World Cup?
No, no, no. Women's T20. South Africa beat Australia to get to the final, right? And then they
Exactly.
lost against New Zealand.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
But at least they're reaching finals consistently now across the
Consistently, yeah.
age groups and stuff.
At every level almost. Men,
Yeah,
women, under 19,
under 19.
across formats,
Mm-hmm.
every level. Yeah, that's great to see.
It's a
And it's only a matter of time. And I think it's going to be Bavuma. I still think
I
that World
think
Test
it's gonna be
Championship,
Bavuma.
it's going to be
I
Bavuma,
think.
first
it's
I think.
captain.
crazy to think how South Africa made it to the Test Championship final.
With
I,
They
their
I want
Test
to do a whole
championship
discussion
cycle.
on this topic,
yeah.
but I'm just going to briefly mention one thing. It's so stupid that Australia and England are the ones complaining about it. They're complaining that, oh, South Africa didn't play enough matches. You are the ones who hoard the whole goddamn schedule.
Exactly.
You play
Exactly.
5 tests amongst yourselves and with India. How are South Africa going to play as many tests as you guys?
Mm.
It's
Rakib
not
will put a
lucrative for
hyper.
South Africa to play a
No,
five-match test series
it's
against
true.
against Bangladesh, against Sri
Six
Lanka, against
six
Pakistan. It's not lucrative. It
six to
doesn't make
eight
sense for
months
them to do that.
6 to 8 months of the year goes into them playing 10 test matches within each other. Why are you complaining? You are the problem. Shut up.
They're just
I
salty. The
agree.
South
All teams
Africa
should
made
play
it.
minimum of 15 tests. I agree with that. All teams should play a minimum of 15 tests in those 2 years,
Hmm.
and no
Hmm.
team should play more than 20 tests. Try and implement it both ways. You can't have it one way. You can't say, okay, teams can't play more than 50, can't play less than 15. Fine. You stop playing more than 20.
Yeah,
Yeah, make it so
yeah.
that every team plays the same number of games and faces every opposition.
It's
Be
ironic
uniform.
because ironic. The ironic part is Brandon McCullum was using their scheduling as an excuse for the Champions Trophy issue. He said, "Oh yeah, the scheduling's been an issue, but you know, like our games, number of games are coming down right now. We've only played 12 tests. Shut up." Like realistically, just shut up. Like,
Let's not get too much into the rant and talk about the one team that's left before moving into the two finalists, and that is
mhm.
Afghanistan. Afghanistan did not get favorable conditions. If we talk about the ground conditions that they did get, I think all their
And they
games were
missed
in
AM
Lahore, if I'm not
Gazanfar.
mistaken.
Big loss.
AM
AM
Kazan for
Gazanfar.
big loss. All games in Lahore not favorable. Even Rawalpindi
Yeah,
wouldn't have been too favorable for them.
no,
Uh, Karachi wouldn't have been too favorable for them either. But again, Lahore least favorable for them. Despite that, they
yeah.
made the most out of what they could have. Didn't have a good first game against South Africa. Brilliant fight back against England. Absolutely
Mm-hmm.
brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And then good fight back against Australia. Would have lost that game had it not been for rain anyway. But again, good stuff. Good to see
Yeah, no,
some real fight.
honestly, treading in the right direction.
Only going up
12,
from here.
12 years ago or 13 years ago, they were playing Division 4, Division 3 cricket, I think.
15 years
And
ago, they were in Division 5.
15 years ago, they were in Division 5. And
15 years ago, Bangladesh were competing with India featuring Dravid Sehwag, and now they are struggling to
they're
defeat
struggling to compete
associates.
against
Now
Afghanistan. Yeah,
look at the trajectories.
yeah. No, you just look at that Afghanistan setup. 2023 in Bagheradda, we talked about Azmatullah Omarzai being the next big thing. We'd only probably seen Azmatullah Omarzai play a couple of times at that point, and we said this guy is the real deal. He's business. 2023 World Cup, he was business. Went to the IPL business, fell out of form a little bit, but Afghanistan did a really good thing of just sticking to him. They knew, he has it. He's there. They didn't give him that number 3 spot, moved him back down to number 5. Rahmat Shah was back in at 3. Sadiqullah probably helped himself with that emerging Asia Cup and coming into the setup. And now they've got a perfect group. What sucks is number 4 and 5, Najibullah and not Najibullah, Hashmadullah Shahidi and Rahmat Shah are not getting those runs. It puts a lot of pressure on top 3 and bottom 3 because two guys are essentially like walking wickets, and it makes it a bit difficult, especially like against Australia. They could have put way more on the board, right? Like they could have easily put another 70, 80 runs on the board, I think, and that whole game becomes a lot different. And yeah, it's just, I think if they can either find good replacements for 4 and 5, or even find a way to make these guys contribute again, I think they are gonna be at a good, really good spot. Uh, AM Ghazanfar, when he's back, walks straight in, and I think that also helps their spin attack and just the bowling attack because he bowls new ball, right? Like straight up, you're not having to bowl two pacers new ball. You can save some Fazal Haq Faruqi overs at the end. Rakimo, what do you make of, I guess, their whole composition of the squad that they have now for white ball cricket?
I think they need to trust their pacers a bit more.
Mm,
I wouldn't have. I wouldn't mind playing another pacer the way they made that squad because Naib doesn't bowl as much. Naib basically
yeah,
plays as a batting all rounder, and he's playing all the way down at 7 or 8,
Eight or
which kind of
seven or
feels
eight.
pointless.
Yeah.
And one fewer batter was fine. Three openers plus two anchors, that's a bit much. You can
Yeah.
still trust Umarzai to bat at 5. You can trust Mohammad Nabi to bat at 6. Gulbadin Naib to bat anywhere in that top 7, however you want to use him. So there was one batter too many. They could have changed that
Mm.
and they could have easily played one more pacer, which you need to do. You need to play that extra pacer if Ghazanfar and Mujib, both of them were unavailable for this tournament.
Unavailable.
If
Yeah.
that is the situation, you absolutely need to play an extra pacer. You need to trust your pacers. I know that your pacers don't regularly give you results like
Hmm.
some of the others like Omar Zai or Gulbadin Naib do. In fact, Gulbadin Naib
Yeah.
is someone who can just come in and bowl 2 3 overs, get one crucial wicket, and that's it. He can
That's
just
it.
go
Yeah.
off to the boundary and start posing with his biceps. He doesn't. Okay, you
I
can
love
use your
that guy,
actual pacers
honestly.
like that. I don't think it's a problem. You can
Yeah.
play a specialist pacer, give them 4 overs, and say, okay, today I don't need anything else from you. You're done. You've done your job.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
fine. I don't think there's
Yeah.
anything wrong with that. But play that extra pacer. That puts less pressure on Fazal Haq Faruqi. Fazal Haq Faruqi was limping and he still had to bowl his full quota.
Yes.
That puts a
Yes.
lot of pressure on him.
Yeah. No, I agreed. For I think Farid Malik and Naveed Zadran didn't even play one game.
No, not one game.
Yeah,
I think Farid Malik's only role was to carry Omar Zai on his back after that England
after
win.
the yeah, England win. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, like if you're not gonna play two left arm seamers, then yeah, sure, that's fine. You're already playing Fazal Haq, then okay, you don't need to. But I think Naveed could have easily played a part in that tournament, and especially new ball. One of the biggest plus points of Ghazanfar or Mujib is they can bowl different variations which drift in and out depending on release. The other guys don't do that, right? So you're not getting the traits of a new ball out of it. So even though a spinner might be bowling, he's able to extract those traits of a new ball out of it, but other guys can't. So that really hinders you. So if you play that extra seamer, it's someone that can make use of that new ball, even if it's for a 4 over spell, like you said, 8 overs, 34, 36 runs, maybe a couple of wickets, or even 50 runs, couple of wickets. You're at a good place, 8 overs into the game.
Shagor, I completely agree with this, and I'm gonna add one more point. One Asia Cup and one ICC tournament final. Maybe not one ICC trophy, but one ICC final and one Asia Cup trophy in the next 10 years. Do you agree?
One ICC final, one Asia Cup trophy. Yeah, I mean it's very much possible. Uh, I don't know about the trophy because of a certain team, but Afghanistan for sure. I'll say Asia Cup final, ICC trophy final next 10 years for sure.
But that certain team may want Afghanistan to win one trophy, you know? That
to
certain team
taunt,
likes
Who?
Afghanistan.
to taunt
Which team?
some other team.
Which team?
Oh
Let's
yes, to
just
taunt some other team.
let's just say team A and B
Oh,
and C.
oh,
Hmm.
acha, 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 acha,
Mhm.
acha. Hmm, hmm,
They like
hmm, hmm,
Afghanistan, so they wouldn't mind.
hmm.
So Afghanistan second generation Rashid Khan. First generation is what Nabi and those
Nabi,
guys.
Gulbadin Naib,
Nabi, Noruz Mangal,
Noruz Mangal, huh? Okay.
Mohammad
Stanik,
Shahzad,
Asghar Afghan or other Asghar
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 Stanik
Afghan,
Zai.
Afghan,
Stanik
Stanik
Zai,
Zai,
Yeah.
Shinwari, who's still playing the
Shapur,
BPL.
Shinwari,
Shapur
League
Zadran,
and BPL, Legends
Shapur
League and
Zadran,
BPL.
Hamid Hassan.
Iconic
Now the
hair of
bowling
Shapur
coach.
Zadran, we'll
I'll
never
never
forget.
forget Scotland versus Afghanistan
Oh yeah,
Epic, epic match.
winning moment.
epic game. Mm.
Okay.
Was it the same day as Bangladesh England? Or am I misremembering? I remember
I don't
another
think
match
no,
overlapping with that
not
one.
not not simultaneously because I watched both games, so can't have been simultaneous.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember one being day game and the other being a day night, so there was some overlap. Not like the entire thing was an
Yeah.
overlap, but there was some overlap in between. I remember that. But I don't remember which game the second one was. Anyways, moving on, our two finalists. Let's start with India. Let's start with India. Uh, the conditions in Dubai, they completely seem to favor India. And the one And this wouldn't be weird if I didn't
Forget
watch
the
a few
conditions.
games in the ILT20.
They
The
literally
ILT20
chose
did
a
not show these
squad.
conditions.
Yeah, yeah, no, no, it's who's the curator in Dubai? Do you know? Any idea?
Check.
Let's find out. All right, you guys keep talking. Let me find out this curator for
Chagor,
Dubai.
the conditions favoring India so much to the point where New Zealand do have good spinners and New Zealand aren't as bad players of spin as they used to be maybe 10, 15 years ago. But still, it feels a bit lopsided or bit unfair of an advantage for India at this point, doesn't it?
Yeah, man. Starting with scheduling and stuff, it really is taxing for teams like South Africa and New Zealand to travel back and forth and be uncertain where they're gonna play. If there's uncertainty, there should be the uncertainty working for other teams as well. They should also have the mental stress of knowing and the fatigue of traveling. All these things already drain your opposition out, and then when you come up against a team who know they're gonna play on a particular, kind of surface, and they have stacked their team with those, personnel, odds are highly stacked against you. So yeah, I mean, Shami said it directly that yeah, he is getting familiar with the conditions, so for sure it's an advantage for him. On the same day, Gambhir said no, we never played there. So I mean, you see, even they know that they have a big
Yeah,
advantage,
it's huge.
and the curator, I don't know about that because in most ICC tournaments you see the same thing that you know India being favored with pitches and stuff.
Because they
It's not
literally
new.
choose a squad.
Yeah,
They can choose a squad that will fit the
yeah.
um the ground because they know where the hell they're gonna play every game. Just like they knew freaking they were gonna play in Guyana in the or semi-final or whatever it was. I think it was Guyana. But if you can literally choose your squad for the situation and for the tournament like that.
Again, like I said, no, so many fans who try to defend this don't understand how seeding works. When Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka host a World Cup together, which happened in 2011, there was some seeding then as well. That okay, India's game, it kind of fell in Mirpur. I think it was the quarterfinal that was supposed to be in Mirpur, India, Australia, because everyone predicted India to be the group champions. India weren't the group champions. South Africa were the group champions. So there was some change made so that India's game could
Mm-hmm.
be held in Gujarat. South Africa's game was then scheduled in Mirpur. That is fine. That I am fine with because India are co-hosting. That much I
Yeah.
can take. India aren't hosts here. India aren't hosts in the West Indies, USA. Why are they being favored with the seeding over there? Why are they getting special treatment over there when they're not hosts? You're telling me their fans won't watch the game if they don't have it in the very comfortable time zone that favors them. Like,
Also, India's
doesn't make any
games
sense.
will have reserve days. Other games won't in the semi-final.
How absurd is that? Probably because
Freaking
India have had this situation back in the 2002 Champions Trophy where they could have won the final pretty easily, but they didn't. But again, they had reserve day. It was 2 days of rain. There's nothing to do if there's
You
2 days of
know,
rain. You can get
unfortunately, even now these situations, at least from ICC's point of view, is gonna get worse because there's a certain Samin Zarif lookalike in the head chair position.
apparently. I didn't see this,
Sounds
but
very
apparently he showed his middle finger to Travis Head once he got out.
actually.
I don't know, I haven't seen
Yeah,
it.
Indian
I
fans
I
were complaining
I
about it, so I'm 90% sure it's true.
I wouldn't put it past him.
Indian fans complaining
Yeah, Indian fans actually complaining.
like
These are
Travis
the
said
more civil
showing
Indian fans. These are not the Facebook Indian fans.
no, so like Samin lookalike pointing finger at Travis Head.
Travis Head,
Oh,
yeah, once he got out.
oh man, that's crazy.
Crazy.
You,
Anyways,
did you
again,
see? Did you see? He started celebrating as soon as Travis Head and someone else got out. He's like, and someone commented, "Is like, bro forgot his role is not BCCI chairman anymore. It's ICC chief."
someone needs to put a leash on him. Someone needs to keep him
Someone,
away from that final. Like,
yeah,
for God's sake,
yeah,
ICC, I have no respect for you, but for
yeah,
that 2% integrity that you still have left, don't let him
yeah.
go to the final. Just don't. Make up some excuse. I don't care. He's had this new
No,
virus
no.
that's been coming around. Just give him something else to do.
Norovirus on J
Like make some excuse. I don't care. Like just keep him occupied in his office. Give
He's
him an
gonna be
iPad to
there.
play with.
He's
That's
gonna
what
be
these
there
nepo kids are
front
good
and
for.
center. He's
Because
gonna be
otherwise,
there
this is an
front and
absolute
center.
embarrassment. Because I know what will happen. The moment India win, he's gonna put on his Indian jersey and then go out
Yeah,
there in the
yeah,
middle. That's gonna be
yeah,
super embarrassing.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Bro, it was so embarrassing to see him celebrate with the Indian team after the 2020 World Cup. Like you putting on a jersey is fine for the presentation. Why are you celebrating with them?
ICC is literally an events company, bro. That's what it is. It's an event company. Like,
Coming back to the point, India again very strong squad. However, there have been some questions about Kuldeep Yadav's form and especially Kuldeep
mm,
Yadav's tendency to
good
not
point.
perform as well in the knockout games. So, do you see him getting dropped by any chance? Maybe for Harshit Rana.
Tough. I think they'll keep the same squad because of consistency. But I think the concerns are definitely valid. Someone posted a picture saying 0 wickets at the semifinals, 0 wickets at this. Like any ICC tournament knockout game, just doesn't pick up a wicket. And I think it's another thing. Like South Africa, they have a psychological thing. I think he has a psychological thing in playoffs or like knockout games because he looks like he's trying to bowl quicker. He looks like he's trying to rush through his action and stuff. Just from like observations I've made personally. So it might not be true, but yeah, like when he just looks more relaxed when he's bowling in group games. He just going through his motions and trying to get that right amount of revs into the ball and stuff. Where in knockout games he just seems to be rushing through it a little bit and just complicating it for himself.
What else are we left with? Shagor, no changes that you'd make to this
Final run
strong Indian
for
batting lineup
Rohit
with
and
eight
Virat.
batters pretty much.
No changes. I don't think they'll change anyone for the final because they've been doing so well as a team. So, and also no need to bring in more pace given that final is in Dubai. So yeah, and New
Is this
Zealand,
the final game? Is this the
yeah,
final game for Rohit and Virat?
is
Not
this
Virat, I
Yeah.
think Rohit, it could be.
is it?
Maybe for final game in a major tournament, and then he has a home series or two just to retire.
What about 27 World Cup?
Ah,
I see
I
Virat
feel
playing.
like
I don't
it's
see Rohit playing.
I don't see Rohit playing, and
So
especially
Jaiswal
because
and what's the other guy?
Jaiswal,
Gill
Gill.
Gill,
opening.
There's
I think
Gaikwad.
Gaikwad is there, Sanju Samson, I think
No, no, Sanju
Abhishek
Samson.
Sharma. Abhishek Sharma
No,
is pushing
Abhishek and Sanju Samson not
For
ODI
there
ODI yet. Not for
openers.
ODI yet.
yet, but I mean,
Abhishek
think
though
about it,
not even yet because I
bro.
mean
He
it's a
just hit
different
like two
discussion.
or
But in
three.
short, Jaiswal and Gill, the how solid they are, they will occupy those
Abhishek has like two
positions.
or three T20 hundreds,
It
T20I
though
hundreds, T20I.
T20.
I am
No, but
It's
I,
like
I
sure
I feel like this
they can
discussion isn't
swing it.
as important because India do have three openers just ready, like Gill, Jaiswal, Gaikwad ready, all three of them
Oh yeah,
ready to
yeah,
be
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
the right trio. So I don't think it matters
Bring
who
back
comes
my boy
after them.
Prithvi Shaw. Bring back my boy Prithvi
Why do all your boys have like foot movement problem? Why?
Shaw. We don't like
Take your
moving
boy
our feet.
Get
to
We
the
stuck
just
in
gym
the
with
crease.
you in
Why?
the morning.
hit through the
Take your
line.
boy to the gym with you in the morning. Then he'll have a chance.
He needs to hit
Oh,
the gym sessions with me for real, for real.
oh, there is another Indian opener we can actually talk about outside. Not that it's really important for this Champions Trophy discussion, but
Ishan Kishan.
what's his name? Sudarshan. Sai Sudarshan.
Oh, Sai Sudarshan.
Sai
Yeah,
Sudarshan could make it.
good option. Good
He could
option.
make it.
Good investment option.
Absolutely.
Mm.
So yeah, India have four openers ready, and Rohit may say, okay, this is the last major tournament, and he could
Mhm.
easily have a home series or two just to retire, and that's
I
more
feel
than
like if
fine.
Rohit says it's his last tournament, Virat's out too. Maybe.
If they win or it
Ironically, I
doesn't
feel
matter.
like Rohit could have played a few more T20Is. Maybe.
Could have. Yeah,
Did
could have.
Rohit retire from tests also?
No.
No.
The fans want him to, but no. Fans are being very rude to him. They want him to retire from tests.
You know, this is the first time I actually see Indians want Abhimanyu Yeswaran to get a go because they're like, yo,
He,
this guy has done it in domestic cricket. How are you not gonna give him at least one chance?
Ishwaran, I don't get he'll get any chance
No, I
because
mean, realistically, I don't see they're gonna
there
give
were
it to
so
him.
many opportunities to give him a chance. He was in the squad, and the
Yeah,
opening batsman was injured,
yeah,
and someone else was flown in, or someone else was taken from out of the squad and brought
yeah,
into the 11.
yeah.
So I don't know what more could be like. What
No,
could
I
be more
mean, they
deflating
made KL
for
Rahul open over him.
cricketer than that?
So,
Like you are the backup opener, the
yeah,
opener
and they
gets
made
injured, and
KL
someone else
Rahul.
is being thrown in, and you're being discarded. So yeah, but anyway,
KL Rahul's keeping, there have been some concerns with KL Rahul's
Hmm.
keeping. He's still been pretty good, in my opinion. He's still been pretty good. And keeping to four spinners is tricky. Four spinners who bowl
different.
pretty differently, I would say.
Yeah, I think Rahul has done a good job, especially with the bat. Also, like he has batted according to the situation. Like however much we talk about India's advantage, there were certain moments in the games where India were kind of on the back foot. They're not losing, like on the back foot, like they need to catch up a bit. Like they lost a couple of quick wickets. At that moment,
Yeah.
KL Rahul, he built that, the partnership and stuff. He was patient. So I have to give credit where it's due. Like Rahul has done a good job from his position and decent keeping. Enough to keep Rishabh Pant out, and I'm happy about it. Rahul deserves it.
What's your
So
issue
it's
with Rishabh
something
Pant?
weird happened. So Lucknow Super Giants posted a photo of India playing the Champions Trophy final, and there was obviously no mention of New Zealand. It's all India. They're gonna win and everything. And in the keeper's picture, there is Rishabh Pant instead of KL Rahul, and some fans are absolutely not happy about this because this is basically them taking a jab at their former captain, and of
Hmm.
course trying to uphold their most expensive buy. So there's that. The IPL drama has started. Obviously, now that it's March, their drama has started. Coming to New Zealand, how do these batters deal with the four spinners that we mentioned?
Positive cricket. You can't get into a shell. Like I talked about, Aryan Dutt bowling 95 in Bangladesh, ragging Turner. Aksar, Jadeja bowling at the pace that they bowl. Varun bowling his tricks. The If you just think about the dismissal of Varun to Santner in the last game, Santner got like bowled before he even brought his bat down, and he was so confused. He was like, "Bro, what?" Like that's the first time I've seen an international cricket go like, "Yo, what has happened?" Like,
I think it was his
how
leg
did
stump that got uprooted, which got him
yeah,
even more surprised.
even more surprised. He's like, huh? What? So the thing is, you have to be positive against these guys. You have to put the pressure back on. Like someone's got to take a risk. Someone just has to essentially put their foot down and just take a risk. I know they won't make a change, but I really would have liked Mark Chapman to play because he can sweep both sides of the wicket and he's really good at getting down the wicket to spinners. So that's why I really would have liked Mark Chapman to play, but it's not going to happen, obviously, given the composition of the New Zealand setup right now. But yeah, I think if they get into a shell and if they try to play them off the wicket, get deep in their crease and play them off the wicket, it's death trap. And one of or two of Williamson, uh,
Rachin.
what's his name, Rachin, Mitchell, or Tom Latham, two of them out of those four need to play. Will Young, if he goes on, it's a bonus. But out of those four guys, two guys need to click for them to have any chance. Bat first, bowl first for New Zealand.
I think chase. New Zealand should chase. I don't. I mean,
Yeah.
from New Zealand's perspective, I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't want someone like Kohli chasing in an ICC tournament.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like they're
Agree.
master chasers.
Yeah.
So
No,
yeah.
if they let Kohli chase, he's gonna take this game.
Also, other thing is that they played one game against India and they restricted them to below 250. I know
Mm.
Dubai is a slow track, but 250 is pretty much chaseable on any ground. Like, like as you said, against the spinners, just be a bit more proactive, and
Mm-hmm.
then they could have easily chased the total. But I think still, yeah, bowling first is the way to go.
Well, what do you think the role that they decide on for Phillips, Santner, um, Rachin,
Bracewell.
and Bracewell? Like, how do they split the overs? Or what do they decide to do in terms of the tactics? Because Rachin actually bowled quite well in that South Africa game. Like, way better than I expected.
Connolly looked good in the Australia India game. They may take a
Hmm.
leaf out of that book and say that,
Hmm.
okay, Connolly did well, and we might try a few extra overs of Rachin
He
instead of
actually,
giving
he actually, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true.
as many overs to the off spinners because Bracewell in most games is a 10 over bowler and he's done
Hmm.
exceptionally well throughout this tournament. So he's a 10
Yeah.
over bowler. That's why I was mentioning that Bracewell is going to be the number 7. That's why they won't let Glenn Phillips be the number 7. That's the
Right.
discussion I was having with Chagor a few weeks ago. That the
Yeah,
reason
Yeah.
they won't let Phillips be 7 is because they want overs from Phillips, but they also don't want Phillips to have the pressure of becoming a 10 over bowler, which Bracewell
Yeah.
can easily be. So with
Yeah.
that covered, there is another concern. Is Matt
Matt
Henry fit?
Henry. Hmm.
if he's not fit, who's coming in? Is
Hmm.
O'Rourke in the 11?
O'Rourke is in the 11.
I
Then
would take a massive risk. You know what I would do? I wouldn't mind playing an extra batter in place of Henry and say that, okay, these are my 4 spinners. I'll have 2 pacers still. I'll have Daryl Mitchell if I need him to, and I will play an extra batter against India.
And
I
Devin
wouldn't mind doing
Conway.
that. No, not
Devin
Devon Conway.
Conway.
Conway
Your
is
boy
not in
Chapman.
form.
Oh, Mark
Your
Chapman
boy
at
Chapman.
yes,
Just for the
yes,
final?
yes,
Just for
yes.
the final, Chapman. I wouldn't
You
mind.
know,
If that is,
that's
if Henry
actually
is
not
not
a
fit.
good. That's actually not a bad idea. He can play that Henry Nichols kind of a spot,
What about Kibria's boy, Nathan Smith? He
bro.
can
Solid
bowl
player,
those
solid
cutters
player,
and stuff on
solid
a
player.
slow Dubai pitch.
But then your batting is a little weak because he's also a bowling all rounder. So
How is the batting week?
oh no, the batting is not weak. I mean, it's still the
Batting's not
same
weak.
batting
I
lineup.
think
Yeah,
he just doesn't give me enough with the ball for what Chapman is worth. Like Chapman also gives me left arm spin for that matter. Like if I do need another spinner, which I don't, like who needs 3 left arm spinners
five.
all of a sudden?
Right.
But again, what I get out of
Chapman,
Chapman as a
Phillips,
batter,
and Bracewell, they're. Don't you think it's a case of too many all rounders? Chapman, Bracewell,
no, but we're
Phillips,
intentionally planning that
Mitchell.
just for this condition and just for this Indian bowling attack. And that is if Henry's unfit. If Henry's
We
even
just
90% fit, I
we're
think they'll
trying to
play him.
counter the spin trio essentially.
Spin quadro, no,
Oh,
not trio.
So
quadro.
I think Kibria's question I want Rakimul to answer. How do they use the four spinners that they have? And which phases like that, you know?
Honestly, it's very hard to say. Bracewell very likely comes in early. But if it's only right-handers in India's top order, which it is, it's 4 right-handers, Santner may consider bringing himself in before Bracewell, which he hasn't done, I think, at all throughout this tournament. So that could be an interesting change. He could bring himself in, or he could just about hold back, wait for Shreyas Iyer to come in because Shreyas Iyer is a murderer of off spin on his day.
Hmm.
So he
Mm-hmm.
might just hold back and wait to bowl to Shreyas Iyer instead.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that,
What about
with
Bol
other
Rachin instead of himself?
I
in
don't
the
think he'll
power
bring
play.
Rachin early. I don't think so. He could, but I don't think he will. Think he'll hold back just a bit on Rachin, and he will try and bring Glenn Phillips before Rachin, if possible. Because Phillips, he can trouble the right-handers as well.
Hmm.
Bracewell has troubled everyone throughout this tournament, but again, you have to remember Shreyas Iyer, excellent player of spin, excellent player of off spin. That factor comes in. Virat Kohli, when in form, excellent player of off spin. So these two become sort of a problem. Virat Kohli, when out of form, gets out to the most mediocre off spin bowling there is in the world. But when in form, which he is right now, he's very dangerous against off spin. So kind
Mhm.
of a double edged sword against him. It'll be interesting to see how things fare, and I really hope the New Zealand come in with a plan rather than just saying that okay, like this is how we're gonna see how the spinners are bowling on the day and play them. Like we're talking about the Indian spinners and play them accordingly. We're gonna see how our spinners are bowling and play them accordingly. No, that is not gonna work against India. You need plans beforehand, which Australia did on 19th November 2023, and to this day Indians are
Mm.
traumatized.
Eh, Time
Mm-hmm.
mention the
You need
time
a plan
also.
beforehand.
I don't think Rakim will ever forget this date.
Bro, I won't forget that date. Honestly,
Oh,
I
You were watching together.
we were watching together, bro. I have never been happier.
The
man,
way we
I
were
was.
I know Indians, if there is any Indian watching, Indians don't usually watch our videos anymore, but if they are, they're gonna take clips out of this and make all sorts of memes. But I don't have any problem acknowledging the fact that Fadin and I and the rest
I,
of us who were watching together, I don't think we've ever celebrated as loudly, not even
Oh
for
yes,
Bangladesh games.
yeah, yeah.
I was watching that game in a like I with my teammates for my club. Like I played for an Indian club back then, so I was watching
Mm-hmm.
in one of their homes. It was very late at night, and
You were
then
standing for the anthem, we remember.
yeah, after the first innings, they were quite optimistic. But when heads started smashing everyone around, they suddenly became very quiet to the point that it was like they were sleeping. They're not sleeping, but just so quiet. I was the only one, alive. Oh
No, there
man,
was a
this
stage of when Steve Smith's wicket fell, and India was well and truly in the game. You could argue they were ahead of the game, and then Travis Head happened.
and
Labuschagne
then Travis
doesn't get
had kept
this
happening since then.
kept happening. Labuschagne held up one end. That was also very impressive, and
Yes,
overall, that was a great win. New Zealand need to replicate something like that in conditions which massively favor India, even more so. I've said this before. Like India get their favors in Ahmedabad, India get their favors in Mumbai. Those are different conditions. India do have their advantage in those conditions, but
Mm-hmm.
this is something else.
I really hope um, New Zealand don't just take the pressure of the game and don't make it like, we have to get over the hump. We have to get over this name tag. We have to get rid of, all the stereotypes that come with being New Zealand in a ICC tournament final. I think they just need to go in there, play their game, and just be proactive, like Sagar said. It's just you go into a shell, you let the other team bowl to you, you let the other team bat the way they want, and it's gonna be gone. The game's gonna be gone pretty quick, thick and fast.
so guys, who do you think should be the man of the tournament?
Oh, that's a good question.
Mm,
Till
good
now, of
point.
course, not considering the final.
Of course. And most commentators actually vote like before the final. I've seen this happen.
Mm,
So
Yeah,
why? Who's yours?
man, the limelight is on you, Kibriya and Rakimul. I'm the one
Limelight,
asking.
limelight is on us.
Yes.
Rachin Ravindra, unless again they
Uh,
will take the final into account, unless he has a terrible final, I will say Rachin Ravindra.
yeah, I'm happy with Ravindra, to be honest. Ravindra or Chakravarti.
Yeah, Chakravarti, good contender.
I think he
I
changed
have
the in.
uh,
Yeah,
I I think Matt Henry, given his is the highest wicket taker, 4 innings, 10 wickets. He can also be a contender.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
if he
And
plays, even if New Zealand lose, he's likely to pick a couple of
2 wickets.
wickets, and
Yeah,
that adds up to
yeah.
the tally.
that in that case, Kohli and Rachin Ravindra are also gonna be in contention because Rachin and Kohli both have scored pretty similar number of runs. Rachin
Yeah.
226, Kohli 217. So one of them makes a big
9
one.
runs.
They might well be in contention for the
Who's the
title.
highest run scorer right now?
Duckett, Ben Duckett still.
Oh shit.
Duckett
The team that
227
won zero matches.
is very interesting. Duckett 227, Ravindra 226, Root 225. One run
Mm,
He has
separating.
two batters from
one.
the last ranked team at the tournament.
Yeah,
Bro,
shows how
Duckett is
lopsided
the
England's
best
team were.
opener right now in world cricket. All three formats considered, Duckett is like top two
Duckett has
best
improved a
openers.
lot. Even in Test cricket,
Yeah,
he plays really well.
yeah,
Like I said, Jaiswal will automatically become the best opener in all formats the moment he starts regularly playing the white ball
yeah,
formats. But
yeah.
till then, Ben Duckett is going to be
Duckett.
the best.
Yeah.
All
Oh,
right, boys.
there's a good before we finish, there's
Mhm.
a good stat that just came out 2 minutes ago. So I think this is a good point to finish on. Sweeps and coming down the wicket against spinners. Because we were talking about it. Top five, no, one, two, three, four, five, six batters around the world. Full members batters versus spin in ODIs since January 1st, 2023. Minimum 300 runs. Tom Latham at the top, 513 runs, 214 against sweep, 56 stepping out of the wicket. And in the middle, Fakhar Zaman, Salman Agha, and Sean Williams. But then Daryl Mitchell, 725 runs, of which uh, in within that, sorry, 171 is sweep and 130 is step out. So Latham and Daryl Mitchell actually got to step up today. Like, if
The
numbers
reason
are,
I'm worried about Latham, last time he came in front of India for the World Cup, 23 World Cup, they had a simple strategy. Every time
mm,
Latham comes in, you bowl Shami right up and he gets a duck.
right, right,
Doesn't even get off
right.
the block.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
problem. That's what he has
yeah,
to negate. He's
With
very weak
Latham, I
early in
remember
the innings
something.
against pacers.
Someone in this panel was advocating strongly about the exclusion of Latham.
I was. That was one of the reasons. Like,
yeah.
Yeah,
struggles
That was,
he struggles a
but
lot
he has
early
proved you wrong though
against
this
pacers. No, he
edition,
has.
didn't he?
But there's
yeah,
also the fact that enough opponents haven't challenged him in that regard. South
yeah,
Africa did kind of
yeah,
challenge him, and they got him early with
yeah.
pace. If you challenge him early in the innings, you
But
can
to
get
be
his duck
frank,
out.
he was really struggling in the bilaterals, but he upped his game really well in the Champions Trophy. So before going, you guys didn't give your verdict for who you think is gonna win.
India, I still think India's gonna win.
Close, like
Like
close or
70-30 India.
no, no. I mean the margin.
Oh, margin, good question. Moderately close. India are going to play. If India chase, they're going to bat defensively and try not to lose too many wickets. It's going to go down to maybe the 45th, 46th over, but it's not really going to be a challenge. They're going to let it go down to the 45th, 46th over and not lose more than 4 wickets. That's how I see it. If India chase.
If
Gibbs.
Rachin Ravindra gets going, New Zealand's winning this.
And by gets going, it's not like Travis hits 36 ball
No, no,
39.
no,
Actual
no.
gets going. Big score.
Actual gets going. A freaking 125.
I'm
Rachin Ravindra
saying
style.
Kohli, India chasing, Kohli century, India winning.
And then retirement.
No, no, not retirement.
Only can play till 2027.
Yeah, he's supremely fit. He can play and in
The
form.
the vegetarian.
Yeah,
Actually, I
Random
think
thing.
he's done
Otis
with.
Gibson got roped into KKR,
KKR, yes, this
Roped
our
in.
one.
former bowling coach.
Roped in.
Roped. He said, pull him in,
Uh,
bro.
Dwayne Bravo has worked with him before, so it makes sense.
yeah, it's good. Like it
Oh yeah,
sounds good when I read it, but when I see someone say it, it sounds like this. Looks like this. Someone is roping in. One question: Are you guys gonna watch the game, like the whole game, or what? Or
I'm
depending
gonna
on the
try.
it's a
situation?
it's a
Wake up
weekend.
for
I might
Theory
as
anyway,
well.
so I'm gonna
Yeah,
try.
it's a weekend, so might as well.
Weekend, yeah.
Oh man, I
And
have.
we were the ones complaining all of India's games on Sunday. Look at us.
I mean, it's the final. Might as well. It is what it is. It is what it is. That's why I'm so like. That's why they could have given an extra day for the first semifinal. Like it wouldn't have hurt anyone to have an one less gap day when your freaking game finished on Wednesday and
Yeah,
you're
there's
playing on
4 day gap.
Sunday. 4 day gap. For what reason? You could have had the 3 day gap. It would have been fine. When you let Star Sports decide what games should be when, this is what happens.
Maybe it took some time to transfer the soil and pitch from Ahmedabad to Dubai.
If PCB were a bit more powerful and had an actual spine, they could have
Yeah.
just said, okay, no, Dubai is the venue, fine, but we're gonna send our curators. PCB can't afford to do that right now, so
No, but who is
Yeah.
the curator? ICC has to.
Matthew Sandry. He's the chief curator for Dubai Cricket Stadium
No,
from
I mean
Australia.
these things don't ICC take care of the pitches and stuff. Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
but ICC, you know who runs ICC now, don't you?
ICC is BCCI.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
So I'm no, no. What I'm trying to say is, if even if PCB had a spine, they wouldn't be able to control it
no,
because
they would be able to control the fact that they're home, so they do get to have a say. When it's on a neutral ground, doesn't matter even if your logo says it's a Pakistan tournament, they have
no,
no
the
say on a
pitch,
neutral ground.
the ground and the pitch, I think is jurisdiction of ICC. That's why I'm saying that hosts don't have any
Could
say
be,
in that.
could be.
Yeah.
But you can
Like
still say that the host team can have a say on it. The host team can have a curator
like
present.
which pitch do you use? Things like that. Maybe they're able to put an input on that. Maybe we don't know for sure. So, but Pakistan has no input because all their input has been taken away from them.
Pakistan has only input in changing coaches and changing captains.
Every 6 months.
Yes. Okay, boys.
All right,
Good
lads.
chat.
Good luck.
Get
We're gonna
your
have
energies up.
daylight savings in just about a minute.
Daylight
Oh
savings.
yeah, what the hell? No, it's at two, no?
Oh, two, okay.
Yeah,
Still have
yeah,
an
it's at
hour. Okay.
two. Yeah,
I
yeah.
hate
I
this
still
thing,
have
but
few more hours.
Oh yeah. What's your time right now? It's
I
10.
think it's 10.
And then so in at your 2 a.m. it's gonna be 3 a.m.
You're 5 a.m.
So
But today it's 6 a.m. Yeah, 6 a.m.
6 a.m. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah.
all right, boys.
All
Good
right,
chat.
lads. Good chat. See you.
Royce, see ya. Enjoy the final.
Enjoy, enjoy. The group chat